30 minutes probably.
Yeah, give or take something quick.
Okay, we are live. It's your boy Brody Vincent. I'm here with Ryan Santo.
How you doing, everybody?
The two of us just graduated from our MBA last week, and we're out here actually looking for. Oh, you might want to hit Do Not Disturb.
Call, dude.
We are out here looking for business deals. We're actively looking to. Oh, gotta go live here on TikTok, and then let me get the Instagram up and running as well. Okay. So we are officially live on everything. So I'm Brody Vincent. This is Ryan Santo.
How you doing, everybody?
Last week, we graduated from our MBA after 2 long years at the University of Central Florida. And we got very interested in business. So the both of us kind of decided to dive in and learn the art of finding, selling, buying businesses. We both kind of grew up with an entrepreneurial background and knew we always wanted to be business owners. I've had some experience as a business owner, have sold a couple businesses. Ryan grew up working in the family businesses and also has a real passion for entrepreneurship. And so the two of us are looking for businesses that might be worth acquiring or growing. Ryan, what is it that you think is the main benefit of looking at business listings? We've been doing a lot of this lately.
I think it's a good exercise in sharpening our own idea of what we should, how we should and should not, value businesses on. Looking at how much they make versus what the net is, I think people can kind of get a little bit blinded by that. Oh, it's grossing 5 million, but if it's only netting 500,000, well, that's quite a bit of difference. Not to say it's bad, but that is different. I think my favorite part about doing this and kind of learning about these businesses is that small businesses and media business, sometimes if it's not going to be sold in the family or to somebody who works there, it's kind of like, well, I guess that's it then. We're just going to close shop. So this is such a wonderful way to give businesses, if it's not our business, maybe somebody else buys it, but a second chance and like just continuing on life upon what somebody spent their whole career building. So I love doing this. This is great.
Me too. It just gives such an interesting view into what the marketplace looks like too. As you can see, last time I did this, we were on Biz Buy Sell. We're on a different site this time. And when Ryan and I do this, we like to check a few different sites because there's different listings on different sites. So this one is called businessesforsale.com. This one's really good too. There's a few things I like about this one actually better than Biz Buy Sell. I like the filtering system here better. So I've found it's a little bit better way to filter out what types of businesses you're looking for. So I'm actually going to look up Orlando, Florida, where, I'm just going to go Florida broadly and kind of see what we're looking for here. And then what I like to do personally here is, because Ryan and I are very focused on service-based businesses with our search, I like to click the services business. And so we've got some interesting ones right off the bat. What's jumping out at you, Ryan?
The first one that always hits me, and we've seen it a couple times, is that the Florida lab. I love that it's in an industry that is up and coming and developing, where there's a lot of potential. Obviously, that asking price is, substantial, but it's a 2x on the sales and a little over a 3x on that cash flow, which is a little more than I'm usually looking at when I'm looking at a business. I like to see it between 2.5 to 3. So it's interesting. I just don't know that as somebody who doesn't have this background, I have to do a lot of focus on finding an operator first and foremost, and paying a hefty sum to keep them paid substantially in that field, I would imagine. And I don't know if I have the connections to connect me with somebody like that.
Yeah, I think you'd really have to know a lot about this industry in order to really be successful with this business. Personally, I'm right there with you. I think even though there is substantial cash flow here, as you can see, there's almost $900,000 a year in cash flow. That leaves a lot of room to hire someone to work full-time managing this lab. But if you aren't from this industry, I don't think I would know how to properly hire or vet someone for this. So I would feel lost there. It's by no means a simple business. It's a very complicated business that you need a a pretty certain degree for, I'm sure. So I would feel a little lost as just an entrepreneur trying to fill that role. So definitely something to consider.
Yeah, your background and your access to people within an industry of knowledge is going to be very important. I love how they the lease terms, and I love how they put all this stuff here. Like, this is one of the things that they do very well on the site, and a lot of these brokers are doing more and more, is giving this information. Also, whoever, if this person who has this business sees this, great job. You're doing great. This is a great numbers, and you've got a really cool business here.
I agree. It's good margins on this business. I would be curious why they're selling too. That's one thing we always talk about is, let's see if we can do a deep dive on that. One thing I see here, we like to look at red flags and green flags. It's always good that the seller is willing to train the new owner for a certain amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
For something this big and this complex, the 3 weeks, I don't know about that. I don't think that 3 weeks is going to be enough time to understand how to operate a high complexity scientific lab. So I don't know about that. It doesn't say much about why the seller is selling in here. I would be curious about that. I would want to find that out. Another thing here is you see that it's listed by a business brokerage. So depending on what your goals are as a buyer, it can be a little bit more complex to purchase a business if there is a broker involved, especially if you're financing the deal somehow.
Mm-hmm.
It just adds a layer of complexity. Another person that needs to get paid up front. So that can be a little bit tricky. Here's one thing that's interesting. There is a lot of assets involved in this deal. What's your opinion on assets?
I think you always need to include it in the price when you're asking, but I think you should always keep an itemized list of each individual one, because one thing that we always talk about is carve outs when we're discussing deals. You know, is there a machine or two in there that is completely irrelevant to the operation? Maybe it's just a passion project or something that you were trying to expand on, and maybe we don't want to expand on. So that's something we would want out of the price, but you need to itemize correctly when you're doing this stuff. So that seems about right for a lab. You know, you're talking about microscopes and various other equipment, centrifuges. They're not cheap to maintain either. So that's another cost you got to think about.
Yeah, I think it sounds about right too, now that you mention it. I mean, it's a lot less than the actual cash flow that it's bringing in every year. So that seems like a positive to me. Overall, it's making a lot of money for how much assets it has. So it seems like a good business.
In network billing, I like that they have a nice setup with insurance providers, a lot of them too. That's always great. That's going to make dealing with clients and different people very easy. They changed the rules. I know you have some experience working as well with this.
I do. So I've looked at businesses before in my consulting where they had big Medicaid contracts. Depending on what type of work this business is doing, and a lot of times you can get these big contracts for things if you're a little bit early to the punch with some kind of new type of study or something. In the case of the business I looked at, they had kind of a cutting edge mental health research type of thing that they were doing that they had secured a big contract for. And a lot of times that's just guaranteed money that's coming in. You get these big partnerships and then you have a lot of guaranteed money that's coming in through the Medicaid. So if you are cut out to run a business like this, I think this probably would be a really good one for you to acquire.
Especially if you have knowledge of insurance industry individuals, because a lot of insurance industry, from my experience, is relationship based, having been working in it at a time and also knowing people who have worked adjacent to it. It's very important that you have people who are, on those companies who you can talk to and talk about, hey, this new billing thing that urologist isn't working. How can we fix this? It's important to have relationships. So if you have somebody who is in those industries, they might be somebody who you'd partner with on a deal like this, because that definitely will help you make sure that payments go through, and you can help a lot more people if their payments go through.
Yep. So altogether, not necessarily one that makes a ton of sense for us, but if you happen to be in the scientific industry and you're entrepreneurial, or maybe if you're entrepreneurial and you have a partner to come into it with you that has the expertise to understand something like this, could be a good fit.
Wow.
Let's go back a couple.
Smart cookies.
So Should we take a look at this marketing agency?
Yeah, let's. I like these first two. I think agency is always kind of a weird word for me because I've heard a lot of people from. Weirdly enough, one of our professors worked at an agency, and he was just he did it when he was young, and his opinion was that they're very kind of flight by fancy in the sense, I guess maybe that's not the right term, but they're hot when they're hot. It's cold when it's cold. So agencies are always a strange thing to audit, but this one seems like it has a pretty good recurring book of business, especially with marketing in South Florida. A lot of people to do that business. This is a 3x multiple on the cash flow. That's very good.
Yeah, that's actually not too bad. That's fairly standard at around this level. It's potentially even on the lower side. One big positive here is that it looks like
love that
they're talking about creative financing options. So it sounds like they would be open to creative financing.
When I see that in a listing, it puts my confidence level a lot higher if everything else is. Now, when I'm not bashing on these businesses, saying they're bad business. I'm speaking from like my level of comfort in coming into them. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing a marketing agency because I wouldn't feel like I had any business being there. But the fact that they've already done the work to get SBA qualified, that tells me that probably their books are looking pretty good because the SBA is fairly rigorous in who gets a loan and who doesn't. It takes a while too.
Yeah, and I just like that they're mentioning creative financing because it sounds like probably an open-minded seller who would be interested in offering you some kind of deal that helps you as the buyer eliminate a little bit of your risk and just kind of make things work in more of a partnership type of sense without taking on as much risk.
Oh, good. They even put the breakdown and reasons.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. So reasons for selling a misspelled retirement. Retirement is usually a pretty good sign for a business. I mean, that just means that the owner is probably going to be motivated to sell, depending on how early in the considering retirement journey they are. Usually just genuinely a good sign for you when you're looking, because they're going to have at least some motivation to get rid of the business. They will train. Again, the 4 weeks, not a huge fan of that. If they're not willing to stay on any longer than that, could be a little bit of a red flag.
Maybe they're looking also for somebody who owns a marketing agency. Maybe they're positioning themselves to sell more within the industry, which is fine. You limit the buyers that way, but if that's kind of where your head's at, that's where your head's at. I think being more open to training somebody who is slightly experienced is probably going to get you more individuals who are possibly serious. But I know sometimes that's a way to dissuade people who are just kind of in it for a quick. They're like, oh, I can make $600, $600K a year from this. Let me just try to get this real quick. But yeah, I do love that it's been established for 15 years.
Me too.
My comfort level personally is I like to see 10 years or more, because to me, after those, I think the stats like after 5, like you're solid, and I like to see double that.
Yeah, the stats on the first 10 years of a business are really bad. I think something like 90% of businesses have failed by the time that they're 10 years old. So if it's above 10 years old, it's a top 10% type of company. Especially for a marketing agency, that something as volatile and as hot, or sometimes not, as a marketing agency, they've got to have something going for them.
You're not only battling social trends and like whatever's hot at the moment and personalities and taste depending on your product, but also the economic trends. Marketing only works if people got money. So great job staying in the game 15 years strong. Like, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's interesting. They do a lot of different type of work. With something like this, I would be very curious to know what types of clients they have. I think with a marketing agency, that's probably the make or break about whether you can feel good about it. I would want to know what types of clients they have, whether it's a lot of B2B or whether it's like mostly the PR side and it's more B2C. I would be very curious to know that, and how long they've been working with them, because I think if they've got these long-standing relationships, that would go a long way, especially if the owner is not doing much on a day-to-day basis and those client relationships aren't very dependent on them.
Oh yeah, no, I would like to know, one of the things I always look for is if they mention the owner's involvement or the level to the owner involvement, because an absentee business, if you're marking that up at 4x, 5x, I can understand at that point because you've already done the work for the most part to get operators in place. So yeah, you can command a higher price because you set it up. The keys are here.
We should take a second to describe what you mean by absentee
Oh,
business
yeah.
too. I think that's a good
Good
kind of like differentiating factor here. The way Ryan and I have been talking about businesses is there's kind of two different types of categories. There's really owner operated businesses and professionally managed businesses. So when he said an absentee business, like what to you is considered an absentee business?
Absentee means the owner isn't going into the business or involved in the day-to-day to a great extent. I think most owners have some degree, even if it's a little bit, I'd still consider it absentee. Even if you're just like an hour or two a day, I'd still consider that absentee. But the business functions when they're not there perfectly fine, essentially. And whatever they do could be tasks that other people could do with the proper pay increases and title changes. Like, you don't want to take over a business and say, okay, this guy handled this. It's, hey, next in line manager, it's your problem. Obviously, you need to compensate the individuals taking on the extra work, or raise somebody to that position, give it a different title. But if you're putting in, I'd say maybe 10 hours, 15 hours a week, that's absentee in my mind.
I'd say there's kind of a spectrum. Like you said, it's like, it's how absentee is it? I think it's important to ask probing questions when if someone ever says a business is absentee, or another word that gets thrown around is turnkey, turnkey, absentee. I think it's important to ask questions whenever they say that, because even if they're not spending that much time in the business, it could be that the hours that they are spending have a very high kind of effect on the success or lack thereof of the business. Yeah, it could be that they're doing all the sales. That's something to look out for, like see who's doing the sales or who's responsible for it. Oh, someone wants to join live.
I don't know what's happening.
I think that boosts the visibility of it, so we'll do it. Maybe I'll just turn down the volume.
Yeah.
For anyone tuning in just now, though, what we're doing here is we're looking at listings of businesses that are listed for sale on businessesforsale.com here. And basically, this is just a way to see what type of business you might be able to acquire. And we just finished looking at this marketing agency.
And feel free to type in the chat if you have questions. Because we're running on phones with speakers, we can't necessarily hear people talking in. So we definitely want to answer questions if people have them.
I have no idea what this is, but we'll just let it happen. For anyone who's not seeing this, we've got TikTok open on the side here, and there's something weird happening. I don't know. I don't know how. It's like some kind of battle or something. Crazy. It looks like we're losing.
Yeah. Oh, well.
But let's look at this pressure washing business. What do you think of that?
Love pressure washing.
We do love a pressure washing business.
Evergreen meaning it's a year-round in our, we're in Florida. It's a year-round business here. It can be pivoted to do a number of different things for a homeowner. And if you're somebody who owns a service-based business like landscaping or anything adjacent, purchasing a business like this could be very good because it then increases your scalability, increases your service line, and you didn't really have to go out and find the people, you bought the equipment, but you've already established a brand that you've brought into your own, and that can really make the transition a lot easier instead of having to go and start from scratch, essentially.
This one's going to be interesting to talk about. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on here. I like businessesforsale.com for a lot of reasons. Like I said before, one of them are these little markers that they have. So this is a new listing. It hasn't been up for very long. It's also a quick sale. That means they're looking to move quickly. That's something that whoever posted this chose to market as a quick sale. What that shows us as a potential buyer is that this person is very motivated. And you can actually see here on reasons for selling, someone that's going through a divorce. And that means they have to sell very quickly. They're basically looking to liquidate the business to kind of deal everything out in the divorce. So if you're someone who's looking to find someone who's open to financing or looking to acquire maybe your first business or something, especially for an asking price of only $60,000, this is one that you're probably going to have a pretty easy time with.
Yeah, I would. It's always sad to see, some of these things kind of transpire. Never like to read that. I hope everything goes well for the both of them. But this seems to be you're buying a essentially whatever reputation the business has, and you're buying the equipment, which while I don't have the itemized list pulled up, you're probably getting a deal on the equipment, to be honest. Pumps, gas, 2 gas, 1 electric, freshwater tank. I mean, sounds like you're getting about that. So I would say if you've already got a business, maybe this is a good addition to your fleet.
That's what I was going to say. And I mean, we only know what they list here. There's very little information listed here. But if I had to guess based on the asking price, we don't know anything about the revenue or cash flow. If I had to ask based on the asking price, this looks like probably nothing more than kind of a list of clients and maybe some kind of unofficial contracts. There may even be some actual contracts here because it says commercial.
Yeah.
It looks like just the equipment and some clients, and it doesn't look like this comes with employees. So I personally, if I was just trying to buy a business to either operate it or to try to get some cash flow, this probably would not be one I would go for. But if you're in Lee County and you have a pressure washing business already, this might be perfect for you.
Yeah, especially if you're looking to break into commercial, like if he's got that lined up. But this is I think feels to me like the eBay equivalent of a 4 parts sale or a liquidation sale. So if you want to be doing the power washing and you don't know how to get started, this is it.
Yeah. Or again, even if you have a business and you're not in pressure washing already, but you have crews that go out and do some kind of other home service, this could be really interesting because it allows you to break into another space and have an additional revenue stream for a pretty good price, it looks like. So definitely interesting there. You don't see many listed like that, to be honest. Now, this is a totally different type of business.
Oh, buddy.
What do you think of this one? I will say
wedding venue.
We might want to skip this one though, just because it doesn't list the revenue or the cash flow again.
Yep. But I already know we already know 2 people who want to buy wedding venues.
That is true.
Yeah.
Joel, Joel, if you're watching.
I didn't even think about it. I've never thought about that. And then once he said I dug into it, that's
wedding venues are a good business.
Literally a standing building, a kitchen. Good stuff.
Yeah, they're a really good business. Ooh, this could be interesting.
We're really hitting some high ticket ones today.
We are. Yeah, this is a big business.
Quick sale too.
Okay. Let's see if it has anything about
no broker involved.
Retirement.
Kind of common with quick sale is that you're dealing with the owner.
Well, we don't know that for sure.
Oh, okay. I thought no broker listed though.
It's tough to tell with this one because one thing I really don't like about businessesforsale.com is that usually you just have to contact the seller by filling out a little form like this.
Yeah.
On Biz Buy Sell, a lot of times you can see who's selling it. This one we don't know. So it would submit it to whoever actually is. I still don't know what's going on here.
I have no idea
on TikTok. But it basically just submits it to whoever it is that listed the business. So we don't know for sure whether they're going through a broker or not. But like Ryan said, quick sale, like we talked about with the last business too, that's usually a good thing. So asking price over 5 million.
And they don't even have a number.
Interesting. Yeah, that is a little high based on what I'm seeing with the cash flow. That
to me points more towards an individual selling, because just like with real estate, businesses are a labor of love, and we always value our businesses personally more. So I feel like the expectations and, possibly what they're looking for is more based on their emotional, an emotional attachment to it. And rightly so. 25 plus years of business, USA and Canada, like this person has put in a lot of work to build an incredible business, it looks like. And obviously they want to be compensated fairly for it. They have a $4 million revenue, 1.2 cash flow. I think given the
on second thought, it's not that high of a multiple for that size of a business. For something doing over $1 million a year in cash flow, that's actually pretty standard. No, not even. It's just over if you're doing 5 million exactly, just over a 4x multiple. That's actually not too bad.
For 25 years, and so, I mean, I'll always look at it from my point of view. That I'm not sure that it'd be for me, but man, what an incredible business that you got here.
Yeah, I mean, it's very well established. It's doing those are great margins, honestly.
Incredible margins.
Yeah, really great margins, well over 25% margins, probably something more like 30 if I
Oh
was to
yeah.
do the math. We love to see that 25 plus years. I mean, this is a well-known established business, a business that old as well. A lot of times from what Ryan and I have seen talking to people that are selling a business like this, a lot of times that means they don't have much done in the way of like a software to run the business or something like that. Usually they get to this point with just good people and good management teams and a lot of kind of brand equity. So for someone young like us who is maybe tech savvy, maybe has formal education they're looking to use with their acquisition, something like this could be a really good opportunity for you because you might be able to come in and bring to the table some software knowledge or build them a CRM system, something that could actually help run the business more efficiently and take them to a whole nother level.
Yeah, this is just a beautiful business, I think. Great. Yeah, I mean, so many compliments for this. Whoever this is, great job for doing that. You've earned that retirement 10 times over. My own thing with these is when you're coming in, especially if you're not industry native or if you're on the younger end of the spectrum, which is anything younger than the owner is going to be looked at as young, no matter how old you are. If it's a hand built business like we think this might be, you're going to have to really make sure that you're doing a lot to make sure the staff is comfortable with you taking over, because you want to make sure you treat them the same, but also that they feel like you can actually do the job. So that's why when me and Brody are looking at this stuff, we always consider who internally would the owner want to promote into other positions, because we want to show them that we care about the business and we trust their expertise as much as we hope they trust us to guide it.
Yeah. Or it could very well be that you look at this business and the owner actually does have their management team running the whole thing. I have talked to people where that is the case. So you would just want to ask a lot of questions about that. To knock this listing a little bit, one thing I will say that it's a little bit of a red flag, and this sounds like a weird, picky thing. I don't like seeing numbers this round. To me, usually that is a little bit of a sign that maybe their books aren't as organized as they should be. And so it might be difficult to get a really sound judgment on what the financial state of the business is if their accounting is not that well organized.
Yeah, I agree. That's, it's especially with an asking price of just over 5 million, they don't have the hard like out number. So yeah, that's something you're going to want to look into, especially when you're dealing with this business. Just getting those hard numbers and seeing the last kind of 3 to 5 years of financials. But this is very cool. I like what they're doing. I think that as somebody who has an interest in the industry, would probably do very well with this.
I think so too. If it was me and I was seriously considering this one, I would just want to check in on the accounting and make sure that it is done in a good organized way, and maybe even offer to help them get a quality of earnings report done, something like that. That a quality of earnings report would just kind of verify with a third party that the earnings that they're saying are coming in are actually coming in a legitimate way.
I don't like to move forward on anything unless there's a QOE on there. Like if it's good enough, I'll even foot some of the costs to get it done, because I really want that complete transparency. And honestly, most people, if they've never done it, are more than happy to do it because they're also interested. So
yeah, it's just a good thing that can help them in their sale, whether you end up being the purchaser or not. Could be a little bit difficult if it's a quick sale like this one. You never know what situation the owner is in.
Relocatable tells me he's probably operating it out of his house, which is also a plus.
Which is it's a definite plus. Unless there's something he chose not to list here. If he is operating it out of his house, it's just a lot less for you to deal with overall. And also there's probably not an expectation that you do have to be in the office, which, depending on your opinion of how you like to run a business, could help you run it from a different county or a different city or different area or something. Just a very interesting setup there. Want to analyze one more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
I'll let you pick this one.
All right,
let me know what you think. That sounds good.
love these businesses, but don't want to look at them right now. Go, let's see. Going Prime Summit. A lot of people selling those. We tend to stay away from franchises personally.
Yep.
Just because there's a lot of rules that normally come with them. New franchise, yeah, there's a lot of rules, and the whole point is to kind of do something that we want to do. So
a lot of times, and our ultimate goal with any business we acquire is to at least have the option to be able to sell it for a nice multiple if we'd like to
who we want.
To who we want. And a lot of times, if you own a franchise, if you're thinking about buying into one or something like that, if you do own a franchise, it can be pretty difficult to sell them.
Mm-hmm. Only one I trust is Chick-fil-A at this point with those numbers.
Yeah, if you can somehow.
Oh, a tiny one, little profitable, established eco tour charter boat. Let's just look at that one.
This one does look interesting. It's a lot smaller than a lot of the ones we looked at.
But, I think many people for their first deal, they kind of want that smaller thing, especially if they're looking for something. I mean, what is this? 10 years established, eco tour business, 10,000. Ooh, Everglades. That's it. Well, okay, he's got the location.
Interesting. And it looks like you're buying the boat itself because it says furniture, fixtures, and inventory included. Looks like you're buying the boat itself or maybe you're leasing it.
Location is very good. Naples, Florida. A lot of good vacation spots down there. Leases, real estate, you get a boat.
Interesting. I like to see this much listed for business operation. I like whenever they've got ideas about how to expand things. To me, that it's just at least a sign that the owner doesn't think this is a, no pun intended, sinking ship.
Mm-hmm.
They think that there's potential for it to grow, and they've actually thought about that, especially if they're willing to stay on for some training or maybe stay on for a more permanent or
we'll do whatever is necessary to get a new owner up and running for a reasonable hourly fee. I like that.
That is interesting. Yeah.
That says this is a passion thing that they built with this.
They also say owner financing is available. So that means that they're very open-minded on the actual terms of this. Very interesting. Can be run from home. I don't know about that. If you're having to give tours, maybe one of these two employees is giving the tour. Maybe it's two employees that are driving the boats full time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's good. 10 years, he made it. Congratulations.
That's our benchmark.
This is kind of a cool one. I would.
Yeah, I think this is interesting too. I think, especially if this was like a kind of a fun business for you to acquire, not like a full-time thing. I think this would be a really fun one to own.
I think it's a good starter one if you have a job and you're trying to do something on the side. It doesn't seem like it's too much heavy lifting in the sense of managing the personnel, reasonable price, clearly a passionate owner.
With the owner financing too, this could even be something like if you wanted to operate it yourself, you could probably make pretty good margins on it. It says the cash flow is under 50,000. It's not making a ton of money, but it's paying two employees to drive the boats. This sounds like something if you wanted to get in as a first time owner and maybe even operate it, be the one actually driving the boats, could be a really fun gig. And with the owner financing available, you can probably put yourself in a position where you're making some decent money.
Oh yeah, as you can scale to your heart's content, and with two people, it sounds like they're both part-time, so you're not even dealing with full-time employees. So he has a CRM set up. He's got reservations. I mean, it's a nice little business. Lots of potential.
Hi Hannah, by the way.
Hi Hannah.
So what are the red flags that you see on this one?
It is a highly competitive industry and in a small niche. That's not necessarily a red flag for everybody, but for me, I know how to do marketing. I understand marketing campaigns and can implement them. I would need to research that industry quite a bit to understand how do I appeal to the people? What's the seasonality of it? Because they're probably not doing as many tours at certain times. So what am I doing to kind of make that run? It seems like he's got. Let's scroll down a bit.
What's the reason
the inventory stock? I'd be interested to know what that is.
That might just be the boat itself.
30,000. I think it's furnitures and fixtures.
Oh,
But
this.
$1,000. I
Yeah.
want to know what that is because it doesn't really. You didn't really specify anything on there, whether it's like snacks or stuff.
Could be just something like that. Owner's retiring.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
Not to be hard on them, I am curious why it's this size after 10 years though. I feel like it probably could and should be a little bit bigger. That to me says that it could be a little bit of a tough market. Although it could just be the owner wanted to take it as a very chill kind of business to run. Maybe they have multiple businesses. I would want to know a little bit more about that.
See, in his wording, because I agree with you. That's, and back to our thing about not having a hard number, like the exact, because you should probably know that if you're running it. If you scroll up a bit, I think it's there. Hang on. The business is positioned for exponential growth or can be run as a set your own schedule part-time retirement career. That to me says that's kind of how he was running it, because I think you're anchoring with the growth, but you're saying this is how I did it, and maybe it's not, but I like to say that if he was able to do this as a kind of like part-time thing and scale this up to this, that's impressive.
Could be that the owner was semi-retired running this as a kind of a part-time thing and then wants to fully retire now. So definitely interesting. I think this is kind of a lifestyle business to me. If you like boats and like being out, giving like tours and talking to people, live in the Everglades, this is one that I think like could suit someone's lifestyle very well. So a little bit of a unique one to some of the ones that we've looked at. Well, I think we'll probably go ahead and end it there.
Yeah, that's a good one for today.
If you've been tuning in, again, this has been Deal Flow Live. Ryan and I are on the search for businesses that make sense for us to look at acquiring, and also just trying to learn in the process and connect with some of you awesome folk that might be doing the same.
I just thought about this. People out there, obviously, we get some messages of people asking if we want to purchase their business or look at their businesses, and we always explore all of our options. But if anybody wants us to do a deal flow of their business, and they want to submit basically, if they're not on this site, you can just submit the basic info that's one of these sites gives us. We're happy to look at your business live with you and give you our own 2 cents on it.
Yeah, if you want to do that, I'll put up. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. I will show just how to get in touch with us.
Because anyone who has made or built a small business, you're incredible. What you're doing is incredible. And that's the whole reason that we love doing what we do, because just because you're done or you feel like you've done what you can, it's not the end. It's just the beginning of the next. So this is all done out of love.
It's not going to show it to me there. Let me see if I can show it on a different screen though. So if you would like to, sorry for doxing whoever that was. If you would like to get in touch with us and submit your business to be reviewed by us, you can get in touch with us by submitting it to my Instagram here. You can also find Ryan on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well. But usually the best place to get in touch with us is either my Instagram or one of our LinkedIns. I'm at Brody Vincent, and Ryan is Ryan Santo. And we will be doing this every Tuesday for the foreseeable future and reviewing different business listings. So let us know if there's any particular sites you'd like us to check out or anything like that as well.
Industries that you want us to focus in on for an episode, whatever you guys want.
And until next time, thanks for tuning in.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.